was it that you, so when you moved to LA, I mean, did you just then go to a studio and say, can I get a job? Or what? I mean, I don't know how it is for you guys. It's not.
No.
So how did you guys?
Basically, people heard that I was available.
Oh, okay.
And Teddy did not want me to leave, by the way.
Okay.
Teddy didn't want to happen what happened with Dave Way. He kept me really close. He kept it really close with me. He did not want me to go. I mean, we had a system. We were killing it.
Yeah.
It's just that certain people that were down in Virginia Beach were, how would I say, I couldn't get along with them. And I get along with everybody.
Yeah. Because I think, as I said, for a lot of us who follow the music, we could tell the difference when he had Dave Way. We could tell the difference with the sound. Then when you came on board, we could tell the difference with the sound up to the first Blackstreet album. And I think subsequently, the sound somewhat changed. And so you could just tell sort of a shift. But you unless you're in there, you don't really know why there's a change and stuff. So you go to, So you go ahead.
One of the best Blackstreet records that I heard that Teddy did. It wasn't even a Blackstreet record. It was actually a Guy record that he came out with, Guy 3. That was probably one of my favorite mixes that Teddy did. When I left, there was a bunch of people going in there trying to mix for Teddy, and Teddy feeds off of energy, and I think the energy was just a little bit off. The one person that I really loved after I left, and because I came back actually 3 years later, we did the I Get So Lonely remix together. We did the Queen Pin remix together. I never got credited for it, but I was down there for that because Teddy wanted me to come back home. And I was making a pretty decent name for myself and had a little chip on my shoulder, and I wanted to keep doing it. I didn't want to work for one person. I figured that I can send my talents and enhance different producers' abilities so we can rebuild our community.
So you did the I Get So Lonely remix. Okay. And but so you came back, worked a little bit, but then you started to, so where did you go? Back in LA, starting to make a name for yourself there? And I noticed you did some stuff with Rodney.
Oh yeah.
How did that connection?
I bumped into him in at Enterprise Studios. I said, "You Rodney Jerkins, right?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I'm Jean-Marie Horvat." He said, "What?" And he knew who I was. And that was it. He's amazing. Ronnie's amazing.
So did you do Invincible with him?
I did. Okay. We were part of the whole writing camp for Invincible, where me, Harvey Mason Jr. went to the junkyards to make new drum sounds because he knew I made drum sounds on the Michael record.
Yeah, so it had that sort of kick and stuff. Did Michael recognize you when he saw you again?
He did, but he didn't. You know what I'm saying? He did, he didn't. At that time, I cut my hair really, really short.
Okay.
I was more, I was more cut up. I was actually into more physical fitness and shit like that. So I wasn't as skinny as I was when he first met me. I was more built. That was many moons ago.
Yeah. So what was the difference? Because now you're doing the Invincible album and you're working with Rodney on his tracks, but then Teddy's doing about 3, 4, 5, or 6 tracks as well. Okay.
He didn't come in till afterwards.
Oh.
That was Rodney's record.
So he was supposed to do everything.
And then Michael brought Teddy in to finish up the album.
Oh, was there a reason why?
I'm not too sure, because I left because when you in our field, if you get caught up doing one album, you lose out on a lot of stuff. So with Rodney, when we were doing the Invincible record, he asked me to be a part of it. Literally, I was out of pocket for 2.5 months doing that Michael record in the writing stages in Studio One, Record One in LA. And I didn't see my apartment, and I lived in LA. We all slept at the studio to get it done. And I felt that I had to get away from it because I was missing out on work. And there was a lot of things going on, budgets and this and that, and you know, a lot of label stuff was really happening. And I told Rodney, I said, Rodney, look, I gotta go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've spoken to other people about the Invincible album and how Michael saw the politics change for him, but so he didn't get the backing and stuff. So I can imagine. But you said so Rodney was supposed to have done the whole album, but then he probably didn't. He just decided, you know, let me get Teddy back in to do some of the.
Yeah.
Okay. So just, I mean, yeah. So that your journey then. I mean, you've learned, you've honed your crafts. You know, working with Teddy, you're moving around and stuff. When you look back at all the tracks that you've worked on, would you have an album or that you'd say, you know, this was my favorite album that this is me?
In the New Jack era or my era?
Well, okay, we can start off with the sort of the New Jack and now just overall, but just if you think about those back then.
Probably the one thing that stood out to me that I finally got it in such a small amount of time was the Remembered Time remix that we did, because I was brought in also as the remixer.
Okay.
And Teddy really taught me a lot. It's such a I don't realize how much how much I learned in such a small amount of time, and how much trust that he had in me as his mixer, as his engineer, as his right hand ace. You don't realize it until years later.
Wow.
And I kind of noticed it because the mixes that we gave to Michael were not the mixes that made the record. And I didn't quite understand why, because it was kind of dumbed down a little bit. The mixes that me and Teddy did were like so much more stronger. But then as politics reigns, I figured out why. It's because it was a succession. You get the remixes to build it up. So it's more of a financial thing.
Okay. Yeah.
But where the real true Teddy-isms came out was when I mixed Say My Name. And that's when me and Teddy were really working hand in hand. And I kind of surpassed everybody's vision on that song. But the true record that really stood out for me, and it's still, I use the same philosophy as to use to this day, excuse me, is the first Robin Thicke record.
Okay.
That to me is probably, in a nutshell, what I learned from Teddy, what I brought to the Robin Thicke table. We did so much stuff. There's so much, I don't even remember how much stuff I did in the 90s until really talking to you right now. It's like, wow, I did a lot of stuff, and I can't remember half the stuff I did. And I try not to work a lot either. I was not trying to work all the time. I tried to give myself, because I'm more like a hippie back then. You know, I call myself a bougie hippie, because I wanted to learn more.
Yeah.
And I studied more records. I like literally studied records, and not one genre, just different genres, to get to where I'm at to this day.
Yeah. So it's the Robin Thicke. Okay. So, I mean, I guess what is fascinating is the
Teddy actually commented on that too.
Oh, did he?
he loved that record. He couldn't believe I did it.
No, I guess because I heard Terry Lewis talk about, you know, he was naming producers, and what he mentioned about Teddy was about Teddy not only as a musician but the technical side of his stuff. And I think people like us who aren't really, we think of a producer who, okay, you're playing the drums and stuff, but we don't understand the engineering and the mixing side of it, which most producers weren't doing, but he seemed to be doing.
He's unbelievable. He's the guy. I still, you know what? I brought something. This is what Teddy gave me.
Oh my goodness.
I brought it out just for you guys. That's why I started the drummers on the Remember the Time drums.
Wow.
He gave me the PC. I still have it.
He did say that he loved building computers and taking it apart and creating.
He's a genius. He is a genius. I'm trying to tell you, it's like, I don't think people realize how his brain works. He figured out the SSL before anybody else could have ever explained to him. He did better than some of the engineers that tried to, quote unquote, try to teach him. And I think that's why he liked about me, because I didn't know too much about it. I just went and started messing around with stuff that sounded good. Yeah,
I was talking to Timmy Gatlin, who formed Guy, who knew Teddy since they were kids, and they formed Guy. And yeah, and he was talking about how Teddy called him and says, "Come over to the house," and he had created Groove Me, the whole mix and the whole song, and he's just like, wow. And he said, Teddy said, write the lyrics to it, and he wrote it. But he commented about the musicianship. He said he saw Teddy playing as maybe a 12-year-old with grown men, and he was outplaying them. So it is amazing that you have people with that type of skills and stuff.
A lot of people don't realize that Teddy was producing when he was 11 years old.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't know. A lot of people did not know that. Rumors had it, and I heard from a lot of people. Teddy was actually in Jersey City, where Kool and the Gang was from, and Teddy was actually playing with Kool and the Gang and writing back then. And he's crazy. Teddy was nuts at 11, 12 years old. Kids at Work was when he was 13.
Yeah.
When he did that show, I think Teddy was about 15 years old.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's funny. It's funny how people didn't know his hidden genius.
Yeah. But what is interesting now? So what do you about yourself now? Are you moving away from engineering and mixing into the production side, or what are you doing now?
I still, my bread and butter is always mixing, but I do a lot of production. I do a lot of ghost producing back about 10 years ago. A lot of people didn't know, and pretty much anything I did back then had a little taste of what I normally do, like just enhancing. I wouldn't say production, enhancing, but I did a lot of ghosting. When I left Teddy, I produced a rock record for Gary Hoey. I started doing more production. When I left Virginia Beach, I tried to become a producer with my lovely MP, and at that time was a JV-80. And people said that I sound too much like Teddy. And I said, well, shit, damn, man, I did work with with one of the greatest guys in the world. So they just wanted to keep me down a little bit and frustrate me. And then years later, about 2 or 3 years ago, about 2 years ago, I was working with Molly Mall, not Molly Mall.
Okay.
The other guy, the other Molly Mall. Not the vintage one, the new guy. Okay. And he heard from somebody say, "Yo, I heard that you do tracks," because I just did a mix for him. He didn't know who I was until Claudio Quinas was like this. Goes, dude, this guy did Michael Jackson, did all the stuff. So he goes, but you should really listen to his production. And Molly Mall said to me, he said, "I heard that you got tracks." I said, "Yeah." So I sent him the tracks. He said, "Dude, these are a little different." Because when I produce very differently. I have a different mindset, obviously, after having our conversation. So he said, "Hey, can you do something for me?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Can you flip this one track for me? It's called Side to Side." And it was from 3 6 Mafia. I said, "Yeah." I said, "But I have to do it my way. I'm not trying to, sample this or anything." He goes, "No, I don't want you to. I want you to do it your way." He gave it to Sway Lee. It turned out to be Power Glide. And I thought I was going to get Ghost production on it. He said, "Nah, you're not doing Ghost productions no more, brother. You're getting full production."
Wow.
And that's how it happened. So really, that track was produced by me and Molly Mall, written by me, Molly Mall, and Sway Lee. Wow. And then the other cast of writers that were on there, which is basically Juicy J and his brother, Slim.
Okay. So is that now what you? Because I saw did you do the country stuff?
Yeah, the country trap stuff. Yeah. And please, guys, I don't know when this is going to air, but you know, one of my friends, really close friends, Blanco Brown, got into a major accident, and we just need to pray for him. He's a very special person. I met him about almost 2 months before before the Get Up came out.
Wow.
And an amazing songwriter, not country, just in general.
Yeah.
And I started doing these tracks. I said, let me try to do a joke, and the joke was on me. So it's like that we came out with a song for this girl named Caitlin Page, KP, and it's a song called Daisy Dukes. I did 5 of them, 5 country trap tracks.
Yeah.
My trap version of it.
Yeah.
And then we also did a trap metal record.
Okay.
With this girl named Babe Animal that's hopefully going to come out relatively soon, called Riot.
Wow. My goodness. It's no, I did hear it, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize you can transition from engineering and mixing into sort of production and stuff.
Well, I think a lot of it is because I'm not your true engineer.
Yeah.
I'm not a true mixer. I'm a musician.
Yeah.
That happens to mix and engineer.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Okay.
I don't think conventionally. Everybody tries to think with numbers. That's like when people say, "Oh, that's a 2K, 4K." It could be fucking special K. I don't give a shit.
That's okay.
There's high mids, low mids, and lows. The high mids is kind of funny. If you could tell me what frequency that is, then you can hear gnats fucking.
Yeah.
Right? That's somebody trying to be smarter than the other person in the room to think that they know what they're talking about. Yeah. I don't go for that. I'm not that type of dude.
Yeah.
That's the reason why Teddy loved me so much, because I didn't give a shit who was in the room. I didn't care. He knew I didn't care that Michael was in the room. He knew I didn't care. He knew I needed to get the job done, because when I first got into the industry, I got starstruck twice in the same day. Once I met Ziggy Marley, because I was running the desk at the time when I first started working at Sigma.
Yeah.
And the other ones, I met Raquel Welch.
Okay.
And then the guy goes like this to me, who was working there, he goes, "They're just people. Get over it." And I never forgot that. Mike Scalcione told me that. He said, "Get over the fact that these guys are stars." And from that point on, I never treated anybody like a star. Yeah. I treated them just like a normal human being. That's why me and Michael got along so well.
Mm.
That's why a lot of people that work with me so well. I don't give a shit what your job is to entertain.
Yeah.
I'm not here to pacify them. I'm here to try to make hit records. I don't give a crap.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned from Teddy. Teddy didn't take that shit. That's one thing that Teddy taught me. He goes, "Listen, John, they want a hit record by all means necessary." So when he asked me, this is what he told me. He goes, "What do you want?" I said, "Well, I want to be a producer." He goes, "I'll help you with that." And then months later, he goes, "Your production is going to be your mixes for now. That's how you're going to get paid right now." This is what Teddy told me in 1991. He goes, "You're going to get better." Because we were supposed to do the Metallica record. He didn't want to do it. He said no. Oh, Teddy, what? You didn't hear that?
No.
Teddy was supposed to do Metallica.
Wow.
In 1992.
He did Rolling Stones' "Love Is Strong." Were you around with that?
No. I wish I was.
Okay.
I was gone by then.
Okay. Metallica, wow. That's but he turned it down because he didn't want to venture off, or
he didn't know enough of it. He wasn't prepared for it.
Well, that's amazing, because most people would take the risk, maybe fail, and then that'll be it.
Oh, I'll tell you one thing. I was so mad that I wasn't a part of the fucking Tom Jones kind of thing. Oh, I was so mad about it.
Swing the lead and yeah.
I wanted to do that because I'm a big Tom Jones fan.
Okay, he's from. I'm in England, so he's out in Wales.
Yeah, that was man. Growing up, that's my cousin Michael and my brother Walter, and they're the ones that turned me on to Tom Jones.
So I did left by the time he worked with Tom.
Yeah. I think he was supposed to do something for Barbra Streisand too.
Wow. My goodness. But I guess what's been fascinating, and I think a lot of the Michael fans, you did Hollywood Tonight, so it's getting.
Yeah. Yep.
Was that? When was that done? Because the album came out after he died, but when was that done? Recorded? Was that part of the Dangerous or?
Well, that's when Michael passed away, and we just got the reels. Those were done prior to Teddy even touching him. Okay. And Teddy was actually asked to make it and finish it.
Okay, so he called you back, or what did he do?
Yeah, he called me back on that.
Okay. Wow. I mean, I'm sure that we it's been almost an hour and a half, and we probably didn't even get into any of the stories about Whitney and Bobby and
not even close.
Yeah, because that's actually, as I said, that's probably the sound, the sounds on that album. It is one of my favorites. After the after the first, well, even the first guy, but that's that Bobby album and stuff, but I heard from Father MC when he came down to do 69. Were you there at that time?
No.
Okay, but I guess there was just this understanding. So by the time you left, were you still checking back in? Because I know Big Bob had his album. I know Men of Vision came down there, so it was almost like everyone was.
As a matter of fact, Teddy called me up to do the Men of Vision record.
Okay, the first one.
And I actually love Big Bob for this. I was about to leave the music industry.
What?
Oh yeah, and I think it was around 96, 97. And I was really, LA makes you get healthy. And I was really into it. And I said, I hated the politics. I hated everything about the politics. I wanted to do more rock music. They said no hip hop guy can do rock music. And the whole idea that Teddy picked me up was that because I mixed a rock record like a hip hop record. I made it make sure that the drums were hitting you right in the chest, smacking you in your face, because I didn't like all that reverb. That's why Teddy loved me so much.
Yeah. Because
I didn't go for what everybody else was doing.
Yeah.
And I was just getting put down too much. And the fact is that I stole Teddy's sounds and there was a lot of shit going on. A lot of bullshit, because everybody's trying to make their way in the music industry, and I really didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
So I started doing some stuff, and this guy named Tom Brown, who was the manager at Enterprise, he said, Jean, I got a session for you. Would you mind doing it? I said, yeah. He goes, just call this guy named Tom Jefferson. I said, I know Tom Jefferson. God rest his soul. He said, go to my car. I said, all right. He said, hey, Tom, this is Jean-Marie. He goes, it's Jean-Marie? Sean, it's Tom. I said, Tom Jefferson? Big Bub Tom Jefferson? He goes, yeah. He goes, Bub needs you. He goes, Bub wants you. He goes, I'm glad you can't go. He goes, I said, all right. He goes, Bub wants you to do a session with him. I said, no problem. And if it wasn't for Bub, I would have left the music industry.
Wow.
I love Big Bub. And Timeless, I was on that record.
That's Settle Down. My Way is my favorite track on that. Even the Zoom, it was, a lot of people, I didn't understand why it didn't get to go triple platinum. It was probably production-wise and the sound and the vocals.
Oh, Bub was amazing on that. Well, Bub was look, if it wasn't for Bub, we would have had a really hard time in the beginning stages of my career over down there, because everybody tried to jockey in to get Teddy's ear, and Bub just shut everybody out. He goes, this the guy you need to talk to. Stay away from this dude.
Wow.
That's how Bub was. Bub did not care. Bub did not care. Bub's crazy. I love Bub. But see, that's the whole thing. It's like when you get a bunch of crazy people in the same room, you couldn't penetrate that. We had such an amazing time. You know, we just had an amazing time down at Virginia Beach.
Wow. Yeah, and I guess as you guys, because everyone's, you know, Pharrell talks about, and even Timberlake talks about, when Teddy comes and all the stars would come in, all of a sudden it gave everyone a sense of, wow, stuff could happen here. And people were leaving New York and stuff. And I guess when you're getting big and successful, it's quite easy for a lot of other things to come in, and the chemistry can start to break and stuff. But
I gotta tell you, it was, Teddy did something down at Virginia Beach. You know, when we did the I Get So Lonely remix, that's why I met Timberlake. And
yeah, he did. He was credited for doing some
beatbox.
Okay.
He was amazing. And then years later, I started working with Tim because he found out I did the Omarion mixes for Entourage. I did the mix did that mix Entourage, and I just fell in love with Tim. I really wish I worked with Tim a little bit more. I think Tim is, a lot of my production ideas is from Teddy. There's a lot of Teddyisms in there, but there's a lot of things that I learned from Tim. And Tim doesn't get really credited. I know we're talking about Teddy right now, but I have to say this.
No, this isn't about Teddy. This was about you. So, yeah.
Oh, Timberlake does not get credited enough as a phenomenal producer. He is absolutely freaking amazing. I don't care what people say. I worked with the man. We were doing something for Justin Timberlake. We were doing some stuff for Duran Duran, but we were doing something for Esme Denters that was signed to him, right? And King and Jerome was supposed to do the remix for Esme, right? And they couldn't get the drums right. Tim comes walking in out of nowhere. He goes, "What are you guys doing?" He goes, "We're doing drums, right?" He goes, "Were you having a hard time?" He goes, "Yeah, well, why don't you do this? 4 sounds. 4 sounds. Jean, line that up. You're done." And he walked out. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That was the whole set. I looked at Ken Commissar, the president of Tin Man at that time. I said, "This is why Timbaland's a fucking beast." I don't give a shit what anybody says. Timbaland knows what he doesn't have to do everything, but he doesn't. He brings. Do you know what Timbaland does? He brings people up. He knows talent when he sees it. He could do everything. He's amazing. He'll figure the shit out. He's that amazing. Everybody likes to downplay Tim or put Tim in a pedestal. And there's like haters or non-haters. Let me tell you something. Y'all need to put Tim up here. He's amazing. Him, Dre. I can't wait to meet Dre. Oh, I can't wait to meet Dre. Still to this day, I've never met Dre yet.
Wow.
Never met Dr. Dre.
You probably should have been on the No Diggity if you're still.
You know what? That Another Level record, by far Teddy did the most amazing work on that. And I know those were Teddy's mixes with Junior, with this guy named George Maris. I love that kid. When I left, that if anybody wants to know who worked with Teddy and who did all those mixes for Teddy after I left, it was Junior. It was George Maris. And he did such an amazing job with Teddy on that. Yeah.
I mean, so for now, what's so going forward? I mean, just it was great to me hearing your story from the back stuff and those.
We need to have part 2 to this. You know that, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because it'd be great just to hear, you know, going forward. I mean, do you have stuff lined up producing wise, or are you still focusing on the mixing and then?
Actually, right now, I'm proud to say that I am mixing Trey Songz's new album. I think I got a lot of them. I don't know how much is going to be on the record, but I'm doing Robin Thicke's new album.
Wow.
Then I'm doing, I'm actually writing and producing for 3 artists right now. One of them is a kid named Princeton Perez, who's a kid from Mindless Behavior. And I'm still doing stuff with Babe Animal, and my artist that I'm working with, her name is Alexa Ilsiwi. She is part Peruvian and part Egyptian.
Wow.
And she is gorgeous. And here's the other thing. She's an ex-pro surfer.
Okay.
And she's phenomenal. And it's more like neoclassic soul with a little trap element into it.
Wow. I think the final question I had is because the technology has changed things so much that everyone has a studio in their bedroom compared to like going to Hits Factory and Lowry and all those places. Are you still working at the big studios, or are you able to condense everything as well? Like, Timberland has a little beatbox and stuff. What are you doing?
Okay, so prior to the COVID thing, it's so funny. That's a great question to ask. Through my years of working at Larrabee and all that, I had the opportunity to work at Babyface's studio for like 6 years. That was my spot.
Was that Brandon Way out in Edmund
Yes.
Towers? I worked at Edmund.
Brandon Way, not Edmund Towers, Brandon Way.
Okay, well, okay.
That was my home for 5 years.
Wow.
5 years. And there is where I came up with this concept. That, and also Ann Maselli's studio called Jungle City. If it wasn't for the and to put this on top of there, Robin Thicke. When we did Robin Thicke's record, we did that at his house. Wow. In a converted bedroom that they made as a studio. And that's where my ears started coming. So I have a studio in North Hollywood that I made with Paul Foley, who's the owner of Muse Studios. And it was not supposed to be, it was supposed to be like a home atmosphere. It's not technically inclined that way, but it feels and it sounds great. If you talk to my mastering guys, they'll tell you it's probably one of the best sounding rooms that they heard. And I did the same thing in my bedroom right here. I had to redo as you can tell, I'm still doing construction. I had to do a quick construction when the COVID thing happened. And majority of mixes of Justine Skye, PJ stuff, Robin stuff, and Trey Songz stuff was done in this room. All the production stuff that I've been doing most recently were done in this room. And people are bugging the hell out.
Wow.
So a lot of the stuff in my travels, working through Larrabee, the things that I loved about each room, and I try to convert in the room. But the one thing as I remember, is like I said, my brain works a little differently.
Yeah.
When we write and produce, we don't write and produce normally in a major studio until you get the budget, right?
Yeah.
And those are the most unique sounds. Why? Because it was done in an uninhabited atmosphere. It was not, the imperfections make it perfect. And that's what I've been doing, trying to make an imperfect room perfect.
Okay. So do you think you'd prefer smaller, contained places?
Yes.
The sound as opposed to going back to Larrabee or Hits Factory?
Well, there's a room in Larrabee that Manny American's a really close friend of mine. And Manny and I were talking, he wants me to come back to Larrabee. There is one room that I want to test out. It's one of the new rooms. I think it's the Aqua Blue room. Okay. I'm trying to test that out. But to me, it's like, I don't need a lot of influences because to me, it's like I can mix out of a tin can if I had to. Yeah. And my room is kind of tight. I think a lot of it is the foot traffic, but no one's really coming to the mixes. And the only time I really miss a big studio is when I cut vocals.
Okay.
Because I need that containment. Because my room, the way I have my room, it's a little off, but that's what makes it so perfect. And a lot of people love being in my room because it's so tight. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's so tight.
Yeah. I mean, Timmy Gatlin was saying that when they recorded Piece of My Love, that Aaron, in those early days, sang in the bathroom. Yeah. In the bathroom, yeah. And I said, because if you listen to the original track, it sounds very muffled. He says because Aaron was more comfortable singing in the bathroom than going to the studio, so they kept that version and just sort of, he says something about transporting it into the big studio, but the vocals there, and then how Teddy said he used to record Keith Sweat stuff in the mom's bathroom and stuff. But I guess it's just amazing how, and you know, a lot of young beat makers, you know, they work on their laptops and stuff, and they just use a room, and I think there's loads of all the stuff to try and filter out the background noise. And I wonder, does it mean that the bigger studios might lose the footfall going forward as technology keeps improving, or do you think there will always be a need for a Larrabee's and a Hits Factory and all these places?
There's always going to be a need. Honestly, the only thing I really wish that these laptop producers would have more so is the ability to spread their stuff out on a console so they can expand their mind. But I try to explain to them, you can do that in every DAW. Most of the Fruity Loop guys have been really expanding their minds, and mostly also the Ableton guys. But they're more into reconstruction of stuff. But if they had like someone like a Dave Way, myself, or something like that, spreading their stuff or spreading it inside their DAW, if they had a mirror image, and we're curating those sounds, it would be so much. It would be so much different. Wow. Whether it be better or not, it would be different.
Yeah. Wow.
But to me, it's like when people hear, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I'm very proud of the sounds that I made around the Molly Mall time, which I call it. These drum sounds that I made. That people, like I had a meeting last week with Keisha, which is Princeton Perez's manager. She goes, "Yo, your drums are sick." I said, "They're not even mixed yet." And they said, "Well, how is that possible?" See, this is where part 2 comes in. What I learned from Teddy and how I expanded that production from Virginia Beach. And it all really stems on the fact is my son, Gianni, came up to me. I said, "Gian, do you like this?" And he goes, "No, Dad." I said, "Wow." And then my wife comes up to me and she said, "You should really ask him what he likes." And I was really such a get off my lawn type guy. I said, "Get off my lawn." You know, all these young kids, what the hell do they know? And all this is because I became a musical snob. And everybody becomes a musical snob one way or another. And it was my son who turns around and goes, "Dad, I love this stuff. And this is the shit that I did before he was born." So I had to go back and not be a musical snob to get my production sound. So my production sound comes from Machina, and then I transferred over to Logic. And that's a whole different sound.
Wow.
And that is something that I learned from Teddy, because Teddy is the one who turned me on to Logic. He said, "Get off the MPC." And I just couldn't get off the MPC right away because there was a certain feel. Now with Machina coming to my life, I have the MPC, and then I go into Logic, and it gives it a certain sound that I personally love.
Yeah.
And there it is. So
Wow.
all my production really comes out of Logic, and all my mixes that I do of my production comes out of Logic because there's a certain sound that I like. Now, it doesn't make that Pro Tools is bad.
Yeah.
I just think there's a different sound to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's, you know, there's always a difference with you know, I think when technology gets smaller and more accessible, it has to make it accessible for many. It loses certain things in order to, you know, cost and everything. Hence, they could go to the moon in the 60s, but they can't go now because even though the technology is better, but it's like, well, it's going to cost so much more. You know, it's a very strange concept. Our final question is, if you were stuck in an elevator for about 2 or 3 hours and they said, "Look, you can watch a movie," what would you want to watch while we get you out?
Oh, God. Escape from Alcatraz. No, a movie. Probably something comical, you know, like one of my favorite funny movies is either the Dirty Dozens or Kelly's Heroes was one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
There's a lot of great actors in there, and it's a really good movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the whole gist was, to see what your favorite movie was. But if you had a chance, you tend to then think of your favorite movie, like, you know, I could just watch this without thinking of beats and stuff. Song-wise, though, they say, "Look, we're going to put the movie in, but, you know, we'll play a track before we can get the tape in." What would you want to listen to?
Dark Side of the Moon.
No, not the whole album, just the sing. I'm just thinking about this, the track.
That's 3 hours. Dark Side of the Moon, the whole album. One song in particular. It would have to be something from Stevie Wonder. It would have to be, because even a sad song from Stevie, there's some joy to it.
Yeah.
You know, it could be Always. Golden Lady is one of my all-time favorite songs. I do a lot of production listening to with that. There's a lot of people who always ask where you come. See, you always, as a mixer and also as a producer, you always have to reinvent yourself. And I go back to get forward.
Wow.
So anything, like, if we had to really think about a song, one song, anything from Stevie Wonder.
Anything from, okay.
Anything from Stevie Wonder. As for movies, I mean, just the fun of it, because I like a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
Probably has to be Kelly's Heroes. I like that movie a lot.
Okay.
But if there was something that's going to be playing over the intercom system, it would have to be Dark Side of the Moon.
Okay. Yeah, that's legendary album and stuff. Yeah. You know what? We have to. I really appreciate the walk through history and stuff. You know, it's one of the things where, as I said, they don't do it anymore now because, you know, you hear a lot of stuff, Spotify and digital, so you don't buy the CD, you don't look at the credits. But back in the day when you get a record, especially when the CDs came out, not the tapes as much, the CDs, you know, we'd all go through it and see, okay, who did this and who did this, and so but we don't get that anymore. So you might be doing a lot of things, but it's quite hard for us to see your credits. Now the industry will see where it is, and, you know, for your royalty tax, but it's harder for the fans to get a picture as to who's doing what and the consistency, and saying, yeah, now I can hear John Silent's song, and I can hear his touch in this remix and all this mix or this production stuff. And I think that's the sad thing we've lost with the way the technology is going to and stuff. But it was a pleasure and an honor, definitely, to hear your memories and stuff. I'm sure that we could have gone on for hours just listening to some of the stuff, but
oh God, I there's so many stories behind this. It's like there's so many great stories that you know, hopefully we can get a part 2 out of the deal. Maybe
definitely.
Maybe talk about productions and engineering productions, like what I took from Teddy and what I took from Teddy in the mixing world to the production world, and what his ear was. What I can honestly say as we close this is, if it wasn't for Teddy Riley, I would never have a career. And that's God's honest truth.
You know, I think a lot of people would be surprised the fact that he just picked you with very little experience to work on some of the most high profile thing of his, we could have made or break him. Then Michael's stuff, you know, he's told everyone about how his old manager left him broke, and then he was almost
Three times almost got fired off the Michael record. He'll tell you that. If you ever talk to him, he goes, John Marie said he almost got fired 3 times. But there were life-changing sounds on Michael records that people use to this day.
Which particular tracks was it?
Dangerous. Dangerous. I almost got fired. Oh my God. And it turned out to be the Dolby. It was, all right, so real quick. I missed a step, encoding or decoding. I forgot which one to do because we had the Dolby SRs and I messed up somewhere. But it gave this sound. And I said, fuck it. When Teddy wakes up, I'll explain to him. I really thought I was going to get fired. I said, Teddy, I think I fucked up, but I think it sounds good. You should come listen to this. He goes, all right, man. And he listened and goes, yo, John, this sounds really, really good. So Teddy had to break the bad news to Bruce Redeem. It became the Dolby SR effect. My mistake was probably one of my blessings.
My goodness. Did Michael hear it? What did he think when he heard it?
I love it. Michael was into sounds. He loved it. We made it sound great. Bruce finished it up. I thought Bruce was gonna hate me. He goes, well, those are great mistakes. Never mistakes, just new innovation. That was Bruce.
How was Bruce? Because he was used to, both he and Quincy old school sort of thing, and a sort of a structure, and you've got this young Teddy Riley coming in, and you've got his maverick engineer.
He was more forward way thinking than Teddy.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
Come on, Teddy, we need to get those kick drums punchier.
Wow.
All right, put it to this way. He was the first one that was making the sounds. He would take a water bottle, like a 5-gallon water bottle, and he made an 808 with it. He's the one who told us about the MPC, at the MPC 60s, that they were -10 on the individual outputs, and his was modified by Bruce Forat that was +4 on all the outputs. Bruce was ahead of its time. Bruce is bad, man. That's all I gotta say. Bruce is bad, man.
Wow. Yes. I guess you're the envy when you talk to your engineers, like, look, my first gig was going on Toad Guy, working on the Michael stuff, and then all of a sudden doing the Bobby and Whitney and just countless stuff. And it's been an amazing ride, and I'm sure your family would be like, maybe you shouldn't have done a real job, because we can see the success that you've gotten so far. But yeah, but I would definitely try and get back, because I think, maybe if we were to come back and then think about some of the albums in more details and just get an understanding about that. But it was good just getting sort of an overview of your career.
Absolutely.
And everything. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I appreciate taking the time today and stuff.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah, so I mean, I think probably by next week I can get this out in chunks, because it's about an hour and a half of stuff. But really good stuff. Yeah, I didn't realize you did the Remember the Time remix. So when I put out the little promo stuff, and I had I did prefer the remix of Remember the Time than the original one, and you explained why.
Yeah,
because I was very.
They were smart back then. They knew how to run records back then.
Because I was very disappointed because I have 3 people that I really look into. Spielberg, Michael Jackson. Well, Michael's number 1, Spielberg, and Teddy. So when Teddy and Michael worked together, I was thinking, wow, this would be an amazing New Jack Swing meets pop. But it was a very technical. The 7 tracks, apart from Why You Wanna Trip on Me, they were, they were quite technical sounding and stuff, and it missed the sort of the New Jack, the sort of the instruments that Teddy was used to. If you look at all his tracks,
that was on purpose.
Wow.
Teddy, at that was the Michael Jackson rig. Teddy would do something else on the New Jack Swing stuff. Michael's record, to this day, Dangerous, is by far probably one of the most amazing sounding records that Teddy's ever done, besides the Blackstreet stuff and any other stuff. But there was a Michael record. Everything else followed.
Yeah. And I think
those might never hear again. Those sounds were tailor-made for that Michael record.
Yeah.
Teddy purposely did that. He went deep on that record.
Yeah.
That whole album.
Okay, so because if I'd liked the production, I would have preferred the Bobby production, because it felt I could hear the different instruments, I could hear everything.
Right. That's a New Jack Swing production. This is New Jack Swing Michael production. Totally different. Very open, very, very concise, very poignant, very much into your face. Yeah. If you notice that Michael's vocals hardly had any reverb on it, that was purposely done that way, because it was supposed to shock you.
Yeah.
That's why, that it was amazing when you heard like Why You Wanna Trip on Me?
Yeah.
Those sounds, Michael enforced that. It wasn't supposed to be a New Jack Swing. It was supposed to be Teddy doing a new production sound. And that's what you got. And that's why that record's still to this day, I listen to that record. And I said, man, Teddy was a genius on that.
Wow.
We're using the horns and,
Was that actual car horn he recorded, or you just...
Yeah. He put all that in the Roland S550. A lot of those Michael sounds came from S550 that Teddy made and that we helped make, because we were always constantly bettering ourselves, because Michael demanded that.
Wow.
Michael pushed us to another level. Literally pushed Teddy to another level.
Wow. My goodness. No, we're gonna have to come back and do and go more in depth with some of the albums and the songs and stuff. But definitely,
absolutely,
yeah, definitely appreciate this. And yeah, I was work on it to get it all out and stuff. But definitely appreciate it. And but definitely we'll start keeping an eye out on some of the production stuff that you're doing, because you mentioned a couple of things that you're working on, and be good. I said the Daisy Boost one, I did look at it and I was like, oh, this was really a different sound, but it's it'll be is that.
Oh, you heard Daisy Dukes?
Yeah, because I went on your page and I saw you link up to the video, but I wasn't 100% sure that you did it, because I didn't realize you were actually really doing production. But so yeah, I did hear it and stuff, but I wasn't sure that if it was. Yeah,
I'll say in the trap metal one next. I'll send that to you right now.
Okay. No, but it was interesting, really, to hear the sounds and stuff. And but could you wonder is it hard making the transition from engineering, audio mixing to saying, let me create my own sound? Because you've been working with all these.
You have to be humble. You have to be humble, and I rather work with up and coming artists because I can do what I want to do. When you deal with record company people, they want everything that's already out, like a cookie. You know, it's like cookie cutter stuff. When I deal with that, that's why I loved working with Molly Mall. Look, the reason why no label would have picked me up to do that, they would have probably got me to mix it, rather than to produce it. You know what I'm saying? So people still to this day thought I mixed Power Glide, which I didn't. They took that out of my hands because I became a producer at that point, and Mike Will had a lot to do with choosing the mixer. So it wasn't my choice. Mm-hmm. So at that point you have to play by the production rules. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So you got there's so many rules to this shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's yeah. I mean, as I said, I'm going to keep in touch so we can get back and there's so much I wanted to speak about, about the other albums and stuff and other producers, but it's good. At least we've got this an hour and 50 minutes, and then we'll come back. Yeah, through that time. Yeah, it's midnight here, but hey, it's been great. It's been fascinating. It went by quickly, but it's been really rich to stuff, and so that's why I'll hit you back so that we can do a part 2 and stuff.
You got it.
Yeah.